Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today, and happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. Today I've got a set of terrifying Dogman encounters to share with you. Before we get into those encounters, a couple links. The first link I'd like to share with you is Tromix Lead Delivery Systems, home of the original 458 SOCOM and owned by Tony Remora, a true American. He designed an AR upper to be attached to your existing AR lower and blast 458 instead of 223 or 556. He designed this for our troops in the Middle East to stop truck bombs. Straight across the board, guys. A 458 is going to stop a truck. It's gonna stop the Dogman. Tromix link is in the description below, and check out some of Tony's other amazing products, please. On to my links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. I also started a GoFundMe page to help raise some money for urbex, cryptid hunting, and ghost hunting equipment. I have an SLS cam, an EVP recorder, and some trail cams. I'm working on getting a video out to you guys right now, but I'm no pro, and it's a little harder than I thought, so it'll be out soon. Anyway, enough of the jibber jabber. Let's get on with these Dogman encounters. Shall we? Today's first encounter. I never heard of the Bray Road Beast until 2007 or 2008, said a man who lived in southern Walworth County until '94. I thought I was the only person to see it until I heard about it on TV. The minute I heard Elkhorn mentioned, I felt exonerated. I only told maybe 4 people what had happened, and you can imagine the response I got. I was 34 when it happened. I'm now 65. I figured I better tell my story while I'm still above ground. It all starts at the end of November of 1987. I lost my temper and punched a door. By December 2nd, my arm was swollen and turning colors. Time to go to the doctor. I woke up my wife and headed towards Lakeland Hospital, just outside of Elkhorn, Wisconsin. It was a clear night and a large moon. My wife was asleep next to me as we headed north on Highway 12. I was in the right-hand lane well north of Lake Geneva at 60 miles an hour. No traffic at all. When I saw something running along the right-of-way fence, which was 10 or 15 feet off the shoulder, 400 or 500 feet ahead. As I got closer, I thought it must be a bear. Then I was confused. My bright lights were on, and I could see it was large and running on 2 feet, so I punched it and zoomed on by. When I was within 100 feet of it, abruptly stopped and froze in its tracks. Immediately, pulled onto the shoulder and slowed and moved towards it, maybe 5 miles an hour. I was within 20 or 30 feet and stopped. I couldn't make out what it was. It was completely lit by my lights, but it looked like a pile of fur coats. All of a sudden, it started rising. I could see massive legs, gigantic calves, thighs, hairy butt cheeks, no tail. It was still facing north, torso bent forward at the waist, about 18 inches. I couldn't see its head yet. Now I'm really scared. Must be a squatch. I flashed my lights at it. It rose further and without moving its feet, turned slowly at its waist to its left to look at me. Its legs were still bent at the knees, still leaning forward and already over 6 feet tall. I was mesmerized. It turned around to face me. It was no squatch. Let me say at this point, it never stood totally erect or stopped leaning forward throughout the experience. It had no facial hair, although the head was covered in hair. All around its face was clean, no wolf head, wolf ears with the tuft like a lynx, large eyeballs, slightly jaundiced, with what looked like red spider veins surrounding the pupils. They were bulging out of the sockets, slightly glowing from within, like it had a light bulb in its head. It had a short muzzle, maybe 1.5 inches, not like a dog, all skin, not covered in hair. Bright pink, human-type mouth, 2 or 3 times wider than a person's, outlined in red like lipstick. No hair on its chest, 2 nipples visible. Sparse hair on its stomach, all pink, super 6-pack abs, no visible reproduction organs. Very large arms with long fingers that tapered to points. Arm in begging position like a dog, but out to the side. Fingers pointing down, and could see some pink on its palms. I wasn't able to see its feet. The torso was short. This animal was a lot more legs than torso. The muscles in its arms and chest didn't match the awesome-looking legs. The thighs were about 20 inches front to back. Calves were cantaloupe-sized. Enormous. This animal looked at me with extreme hatred and malice. As its face contorted, its mouth opened and sort of smiled, sadistically. The corners of its mouth went almost from ear to ear. Its mouth opened about 4 inches. It didn't have canine teeth, more like large shark teeth. These teeth were for removing large chunks of flesh, not puncturing, in my opinion. Instead of standing erect to look at me, it had to tilt its head way back to see me. I don't think it was capable of standing totally erect. Its chest was heaving up and down, with large blasts of vapor from its nose and mouth. It was tired of flight and ready to stand its ground and fight. It was moving its head back and forth to the right shoulder and then to the left. I'm not sure if it was making some kind of sound or a howl. The windows were up and I couldn't hear. I'd never been that scared or more fascinated. I didn't want to blink for fear of missing something. My heart was beating hard. We just looked at each other. I figured about 30 seconds or more I was in a trance-like state. My foot unintentionally relaxed off the brake pedal and the truck eased forward a few inches. Instantly, it jumped straight up and landed on the other side of the right-of-way fence. The fence was 50 inches off the ground. I know this because erect fences is what I do for a living. It cleared it within a couple of feet to spare. It took a final look at me. I started yelling for my wife to look and shook her as it ran in a zigzag pattern for the tree line, which was about 100 to 125 yards away. I yelled to my wife, and it ran at a speed no bipedal creature can ever achieve. It was cartoon-like. It was a blur. No animal on earth runs in a zigzag pattern. They run straight for the woods. The animal, in my opinion, had human intelligence, like it thought I had a gun. If I thought someone was going to shoot me, that's what I'd do. A day doesn't go by that I don't think about this. For the last 30 years, my description of the animal is spot on. Everything I told you is the truth. I feel great getting this off of my chest. I've learned one thing from this. There are things that go bump in the night. Today's second encounter. In the autumn of 2001, all the leaves were gone. My stepdaughter and I were looking out the French doors and saw this creature, black in color, like a big bear with haunches and a head of a wolf. It was walking up the hill behind my house. It was on all fours and walked like a panther, stalking. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. The only word that describes it is a werewolf. Then I had a second encounter with possibly the same creature. I had just come home late at night and pulled up my driveway towards the garage. I had to make a sharp turn, and that's when I saw it. I had a low spot in my back with water in it, a steep hill going up on the other side. It was on the ridge across the low spot, 2 glowing yellow eyes. I stopped with the lights on it. The figure was hard to make out. It was the eyes that freaked me out. They were low and then went high, very high. Then back down like the creature was crouching, then standing up. It didn't run, it just kept moving up and down. I watched it for 10 minutes and got scared. I pulled into the garage, door down and all locked. Put my beautiful home up for sale that summer and moved. The location was surrounded by woods, fields, and swamps. The creature I saw was very big, black with a wolf head, but bigger than a wolf. It was a Dogman. The body resembled a hyena. I know the Dogman is real. Today's third and final Dogman encounter. I'm going to start off by saying the only people who knew about this was my immediate family, my fiancé, and the person who witnessed this with me. This happened back in 2001. I was 8 years old at the time, and my friend was 7. We were both very small. I remember it was early August, and I lived in a semi-inner city of Michigan, next to a very large park. At the time, my friend and I had decided it was a great idea to play in my very big backyard at night, because the neighbors had a bonfire going. It was just barely lit, that portion of my yard, through a bunch of trees. We had climbed onto the shed via the neighbor's fence and a propped board. I mention this because it's nearly impossible to climb this day, being an adult. Anyway, we had our feet dangling off the shed with our backs facing towards the park. And without a word, my friend had jumped off the highest part of our shed, which we were never able to do. I mean, he practically flew and headed straight for my house. After a long few seconds, I turned around to see why he ran, and there was this thing. It looked half dog and half human. There's really no other way to describe it. It had to have been over 8 feet tall, the height of the shed, and was reaching the length over 4 feet. Its ears alone had to be a foot long at least. Its eyes did that thing a cat's eyes do when a light reflects on them in the dark. Its hand was inches away from my ankle. Very, very hairy body and basically a dog. I don't remember exactly the color of it, if it even had a color, but I do remember that whatever this was standing from the ground because we didn't have a chain link fence. It was all parallel wood you couldn't stand on. And it was massive, so tall that I could see it from its middle of torso up. That was literally the fastest I'd ever rolled away. I don't even remember how I got down, ran inside, and told our parents. We had no idea what it was at the time, so I vaguely remember telling my mom that there was a tall man outside with a very hairy arm and big ears. All the adults went outside real quick to check, but I guess they never found anything. To this day, I'm still afraid of the fact that even if what I saw was a man in a very elaborate A-movie horror costume, I was still almost abducted. Since then, my mom has become a bit more of a fanatic about it. It's caused a lot of problems for me, anxiety and such. My friend and I never mention it again after that night, and we've grown apart since. I've tried to get in contact with him so I could have an outside perspective and opinion, so I know I'm not crazy, but he's not available. Wow. 3 terrifying, amazing Dogman encounters. The last one, I mean, you're a kid. You're 8 years old, hanging out with your buddy, sitting on a shed, watching your neighbors have a fire, and all of a sudden your buddy goes flying and there's a Dogman trying to grab your ankle. Get out. That's what I gotta say. Get out. The second encounter, you see it once, you see it twice, you sell your house. That's all I gotta say. The interesting thing, I am fascinated by the Dogman, but the hyena Dogman form, that just scares me to every fiber of my being. First, hyenas are definitely a scary, creepy animal in themselves, but then when they become bipedal and start walking and grabbing things, that's just something I'm not screwing with at all. And then the very first encounter, I mean, dude, you see something running on the side of the road almost as fast as you're going, and you pull over to say hi? Come on, brother. Jeez, I'm crow. I mean, was your arm really that messed up that it messed up your head too? Anyway, happy Father's Day, guys, and all that. I hope you guys enjoyed these encounters, and with that, I wish you a farewell.